Not all love stories have happy endings, especially in Hollywood. These iconic on-screen couples fake romance while dealing with serious real-life drama. You won't believe what went down behind the scenes. Number 20. Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze.
There, passe the other leg. So, lifting your chest so I don't hurt your ribs.
It hurts my ribs.
Did you know Patrick Swayze once called Jennifer Grey annoying, and she thought he was way too serious? Sounds messy, right? On screen, Dirty Dancing gave us an unforgettable romance, but behind the scenes, it was anything but dreamy. Patrick Swayze, known for his dedication to perfection, grew frustrated with Jennifer Grey's playful nature and constant giggling during takes. He even wrote in his autobiography that she would break character too often, slowing down the entire shoot. Grey, on the other hand, found Swayze too intense and thought he took things way too seriously. Despite their differences, they had undeniable chemistry on screen, thanks to some carefully crafted tension. In fact, Swayze once revealed that he had to sweet-talk Grey into being more serious about the role. But guess what? They still managed to create one of the most iconic dance scenes in cinema history. Swayze refused to say the line, "Nobody puts baby in a corner," thinking he was cheesy. Good thing he changed his mind, right? Number 19. Nina Dobrev and Paul Wesley.
Oh, the press.
Oh, so stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
you know how much I love you, and that's what I was trying to get across. But obviously,
It
they
just
took
got
one sentence out of context.
Blown out of proportion.
So stupid. I'm sorry either way that it even happened.
Listen, if there's one thing everyone knows about me, it's that I don't hold grudges.
You don't hold grudges.
It's in the past.
Oh, I love you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course.
What if I told you that the romance between Elena and Stefan in Vampire Diaries almost didn't happen because they hated each other? That's right. Nina Dobrev and Paul Wesley didn't hit it off when filming first started. Nina later admitted in an interview that they despised each other and had no chemistry off screen. But here's the twist. Fans couldn't get enough of their steamy on-screen romance, and somehow they pulled it off flawlessly. The tension between them was so real that the show's creators worried it would affect their performances. Paul Wesley found Nina too controlling, while Nina thought Paul was too aloof. But as the seasons went on, they gradually warmed up to each other. In fact, they became such good friends later that Nina once said, "The best friendships sometimes come from the people you least expect." And here's a crazy fact. Despite their rocky start, Nina and Paul now consider each other close friends and even laugh about their early clashes. Number 18. Kirk Cameron and Julie McCullough. Imagine being on a hit TV show, only to have your co-star push you off. Literally, that's what happened here. In the late 80s, Growing Pains was one of the biggest sitcoms on TV. But behind the wholesome family vibe, drama was brewing. Kirk Cameron, a devout Christian, was uncomfortable with Julie McCullough's past as a Playboy model. Things got so bad that Cameron allegedly demanded she be written out of the show. Julie once said, "He acted like I was the devil for something I did years ago." Cameron, on the other hand, felt McCullough's past didn't align with the show's family-friendly values. The result, her character, Julie Costello, was abruptly written out of the show, leaving fans confused. Cameron later admitted he was too self-righteous during his younger years, but it was too late to repair his relationship with McCullough. Even today, they reportedly haven't spoken since her departure from the show. Number 17. William Shatner and Nichelle Nichols.
And I would see you so busy at your command. And I would hear your voice from all parts of the ship.
Space, the final frontier. But did you know the tension between Captain Kirk and Lieutenant Uhura wasn't just on the screen? While Star Trek made history with its diverse cast and groundbreaking storylines, things behind the scenes weren't as progressive. William Shatner was known for his massive ego and reportedly took up more screen time, often overshadowing his co-stars. Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura, found his behavior frustrating and once described him as a scene stealer and a diva. Nichols even considered quitting the show because of Shatner's attitude. But guess who convinced her to stay? None other than Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He told her that her role was far too important for black representation on TV. When Shatner and Nichols filmed their famous interracial kiss,
But I'm not afraid.
NBC executives were terrified about how audiences would react, but Nichols later said Shatter made it easier by being his usual arrogant self. He didn't care what anyone thought. Talk about tension. Number 16, Charlie Sheen and Selma Blair. Ever heard of a co-star getting fired over a text message? Yep, it happened here, and it's as wild as you think. Charlie Sheen and Selma Blair starred in Anger Management, but behind the scenes, it was pure chaos. Selma, frustrated with Charlie's notorious unprofessionalism, complained about his behavior to producers. Big mistake. When Sheen found out, he reportedly fired her via a text message filled with explicatives and insults. The drama didn't stop there. Sheen publicly called Blair a bad energy and refused to continue working with her. Meanwhile, Blair kept it classy and stayed silent, but insiders said she was relieved to be off the show. After Blair's exit, ratings for Anger Management started dropping, proving that their on-screen chemistry was stronger than their off-screen drama. To this day, Sheen and Blair have never reconciled, and chances are they never will.
And wake up!
Number 15, Humphrey Bogart and Audrey Hepburn.
This is what you do on your very first day in Paris. You get yourself some rain, not just a drizzle, but honest to goodness rain. Then you find yourself someone really nice and drive her through the Bois de Boulogne in a taxi.
You'd think classic Hollywood stars would have a little more grace, but nope. Humphrey Bogart couldn't stand his young co-star. In the 1954 classic Sabrina, Audrey Hepburn charmed audiences with her grace and elegance. But behind the scenes, Humphrey Bogart wasn't impressed. He found Audrey too inexperienced and preferred working with his usual co-star, Lauren Bacall. Bogart once said, "She's okay if you like that kind of thing," hinting at his dislike for her polished, methodical acting style. Hepburn, on the other hand, was reportedly intimidated by Bogart's gruff demeanor and old-school Hollywood ways. Despite the tension, Sabrina became a hit, but insiders say the two barely spoke between takes. Bogart even tried to get out of the role, saying he didn't fit in romantic movies. Ironically, his grumpy demeanor only added to the character's charm.
Tired of expensive, low-effort script writers for your YouTube channel? Autoscripter.ai is the ultimate solution. Say goodbye to low-quality, poorly retention amateur scripts that fail to generate thousands of views for your channel. At a fraction of the cost, Autoscripter.ai helps your videos go viral. In just 3 steps, Autoscripter.ai creates a polished script tailored to your needs. Just input your title concept, select your tone and style. The intuitive interface makes editing and refining effortless, fast, smart, and trusted by hundreds of satisfied users who have already discovered the amazing tool. Start your free trial today and watch Autoscripter.ai transform your YouTube channel. Just click the link in the video description below now.
Number 14, Harrison Ford and Sean Young. Blade Runner's love story was iconic. But did you know Harrison Ford and Sean Young's real-life relationship was more Blade than Runner? While their on-screen chemistry in Blade Runner seemed passionate, off-screen it was ice-cold. Ford reportedly found Young difficult to work with, calling her too intense, while Young thought Ford was distant and aloof. Things got so tense that during their intimate scenes, the crew nicknamed them the most uncomfortable lovebirds in Hollywood. It's rumored that director Ridley Scott had to intervene several times to keep things civil between the two. Young even claimed that Ford would avoid her between takes and barely acknowledged her presence on set. Sean Young later admitted in interviews that she felt the romance scenes were forced because of their lack of connection. Ford, however, has always remained tight-lipped about their working relationship, adding even more mystery to their off-screen feud. Number 13, Luke Wilson and Kate Beckinsale. Ever had to work with someone you couldn't stand? That's exactly how Luke Wilson and Kate Beckinsale felt on set. In the thriller Vacancy, Wilson and Beckinsale played a couple trapped in a terrifying motel. But behind the scenes, they were trapped in their own awkward tension. Beckinsale found Wilson too laid back, often calling him lazy, while Wilson thought Beckinsale was way too uptight and demanding. Sources on set claimed they avoided each other during breaks and only spoke when absolutely necessary. Beckinsale even admitted in an interview that working with Wilson was not the most enjoyable experience. Despite their differences, Their tense energy worked perfectly for the film's suspenseful atmosphere, but don't expect them to work together anytime soon. Number 12, Tony Curtis and Marilyn Monroe. Imagine being in one of the greatest comedies of all time and hating every minute of it. That's what happened here. In Some Like It Hot, Marilyn Monroe and Tony Curtis delivered one of Hollywood's most iconic romantic performances. But off-screen, Tony famously compared kissing Marilyn to kissing Hitler, and their relationship only went downhill from there. Monroe was notoriously late to set, often forgetting her lines and frustrating Curtis to no end. Curtis later admitted that his harsh words were out of frustration, but Monroe reportedly didn't take them lightly. Rumors circulated that their past fling made working together even more awkward. Monroe, known for her sensitive nature, felt Curtis was cruel, while he found her work ethic unbearable. Despite all the drama, Some Like It Hot became one of the greatest comedies ever, proving that sometimes tension can create magic. But according to Curtis, he was glad when it was over. Number 11, Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. Think Pretty Woman was all smiles and romance? Think again. Richard Gere and Julia Roberts weren't exactly the perfect couple behind the scenes. Their on-screen chemistry made Pretty Woman a box office hit, but off-screen, things were far from picture perfect. Gere initially wasn't interested in the role, and when he finally joined, he found Roberts' bubbly personality a bit too much to handle. He once said that Julia's constant giggling and high energy could be a little exhausting. Roberts, on the other hand, found Gere distant and hard to connect with. In fact, director Gary Marshall had to use some creative tricks to break the ice, including making them hold hands during rehearsals to create a sense of closeness. Despite their rocky start, they eventually found a middle ground, leading to one of the most beloved rom-coms of all time. And though they didn't stay close after filming, they did reunite for Runaway Bride nearly a decade later. Number 10, Richard Gere and Deborah Winger.
That's not fair. I never lied to you. I never did what Lynette's doing. I'm not Lynette.
No.
I love you. I've loved you since I met you. Don't you understand?
No!
Love in the movies, tension in real life. Did you know Deborah Winger once called Richard Gere a brick wall? In An Officer and a Gentleman, their romance melted hearts, but off-screen, it was a different story. Winger found Gere too reserved and distant, while Gere thought Winger was difficult to work with and overly opinionated. Their clashes were so intense that Winger reportedly described the experience as pure misery. It didn't help that the film's director, Taylor Hackford, encouraged a tough, military-like atmosphere on set, adding more pressure to their already strained relationship. Insiders claim they barely spoke off camera and avoided each other whenever possible. Despite their issues, An Officer and a Gentleman became an instant classic, with Gere's now iconic scene of sweeping Winger off her feet. Winger later admitted that while they didn't get along, she respected his work ethic, but she still wouldn't work with him again. Number 9, Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. Romeo and Juliet, or was it Romeo versus Juliet? These two didn't exactly have a Shakespearean love off-screen. When Romeo and Juliet hit the theaters, fans swooned over the tragic love story. But behind the scenes, Claire Danes found Leonardo DiCaprio immature and too playful, while Leo thought Claire was too serious and stuck up. Their personalities clashed from day one, creating an awkward dynamic on set. Rumor has it that Danes avoided DiCaprio whenever possible and kept things strictly professional, while Leo, known for his prankster nature, found it frustrating that she wasn't interested in goofing around. In interviews, Danes even submitted she was glad when filming was over. Number 8, Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams.
Case goes
next to?
Someone that's cleaning up tonight. That'd be Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling.
Their love story in The Notebook made us cry. But did you know Ryan Gosling wanted Rachel McAdams kicked off the set? It's hard to believe. But during filming, Gosling reportedly asked the director to bring in another actress because he felt McAdams wasn't the right fit. Their on-screen chemistry may have been off the charts, but off-camera, they constantly butted heads. Gosling found McAdams too stubborn, while she thought he was difficult and moody. The tension was so high that creator Nick Cassavetes had to step in and mediate their arguments. At one point, he even set up a private room where they could air out their grievances. Yep, a full-on shouting match happened behind closed doors. Despite all the drama, they eventually fell for each other after filming wrapped and dated for several years. But according to McAdams, their passionate relationship mirrored the ups and downs of their characters. Maybe love and hate really do go hand in hand. Number 7, Pierce Brosnan and Terry Hatcher. James Bond always gets the girl, right? Well, not in real life. Pierce Brosnan and Terry Hatcher had a behind-the-scenes battle. In Tomorrow Never Dies, their chemistry looked perfect on screen, but Brosnan was growing increasingly frustrated with Hatcher's frequent tardiness. What he didn't know at the time? Hatcher was pregnant and struggling with morning sickness. Brosnan later admitted he lost his cool, saying, "I was just a little impatient," but Hatcher didn't take kindly to his attitude. Rumors say their arguments got so heated that they stopped talking in between takes, and their cold interactions reportedly made filming even harder. Brosnan later apologized publicly, but it's unclear if they ever truly made amends. Hatcher once said in an interview that working with Brosnan was challenging, and while they delivered an action-packed performance, she wasn't in a hurry to do it again. Maybe some spies should keep their distance. Number 6, Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep.
You know Jack Edrich over in accounting?
He committed suicide.
Yeah, hi. Ted Kramer.
Kramer versus Kramer wasn't just an emotional roller coaster on screen. It was a battle behind the scenes, too. Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep delivered award-winning performances in Kramer vs. Kramer, but their off-screen relationship was far from harmonious. Hoffman, known for his intense method acting, often pushed boundaries, and Streep found his approach overwhelming. In one shocking moment, Hoffman slapped Streep without warning during a scene to get a more genuine reaction. Streep was furious and later admitted that she felt Hoffman crossed the line. Their differences didn't stop there. Hoffman reportedly questioned Streep's talent, while she felt him arrogant and difficult to work with. Despite the tension, their performances captivated audiences, and the film became a critical success. Streep later revealed that while she respected Hoffman's dedication, she would never work with him again under similar conditions. Talk about turning tension into cinematic gold. Number 5, Anthony Hopkins and Shirley MacLaine. Ever had a coworker you just couldn't stand? That's exactly how Anthony Hopkins felt about Shirley MacLaine. When the two teamed up for a change of seasons, things didn't go exactly smoothly. Hopkins once called MacLaine the most obnoxious actress he had ever worked with, and their on-set clashes became legendary. MacLaine, known for her strong personality, reportedly dismissed Hopkins as too serious and boring, which only made matters worse. Their strained relationship affected production, with crew members describing the atmosphere as tense and awkward. Hopkins was all about professionalism, while MacLaine's carefree attitude often clashed with his approach. After filming ended, Hopkins said in an interview that he had zero interest in ever working with MacLaine again. And guess what? He never did. Number 4, Marlon Brando and Sophia Loren.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Did I startle you?
When Hollywood legends clash, it's never pretty. Marlon Brando and Sophia Loren's on-screen romance turned into an off-screen nightmare. In A Countess from Hong Kong, audiences saw an elegant love story unfold, but behind the camera it was pure tension. Loren accused Brando of making unwanted advances, which made their working relationship extremely uncomfortable. She later recalled moments when Brando invaded her personal space, saying, "Don't touch me, I'll punch you in the face." Yikes! Brando, known for his unpredictable behavior, reportedly found Lauren too controlling and complained about her perfectionism. The result? A strained working relationship where both stars barely interacted off-screen unless absolutely necessary. Despite the drama, the film still gained a cult following, but both Brando and Lauren swore they'd never work together again. And they didn't. Lauren later described Brando as a great actor, but not my favorite co-star. Number 3, Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds.
From what I've read in the columns and all those articles in the fan magazine.
Oh, you read the fan magazine.
Dancing in the Rain sounds romantic, right? Not when your co-star pushes you to tears. In Singing in the Rain, Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds created one of Hollywood's most beloved musicals. But behind the scenes, Kelly's perfectionism made life miserable for Reynolds, who was just 19 at the time. She once said he was a tyrant, and Kelly even criticized her dancing, making her feel inadequate.
Good morning, good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning.
Reynolds would often practice for hours until her feet bled, and Kelly was relentless, demanding take after take until he got what he wanted. In fact, she was once found crying under a piano by Fred Astaire, who ended up giving her pointers just to survive the shoot. Despite the harsh experience, Reynolds later admitted she respected Kelly's talent, but never wanted to endure such a grueling process again. Kelly, on the other hand, later said he was too hard on her, but it was all for the sake of art. Number 2, Laurence Olivier and Marilyn Monroe. You'd think working with one of Hollywood's greatest icons would be a dream, right? Well, not for Laurence Olivier. During the filming of The Prince and the Showgirl, Olivier grew increasingly frustrated with Monroe's reliance on method acting techniques and her constant tardiness. He once called her the most difficult person I've ever worked with, and struggled to maintain patience as Monroe would take hours to get into character. Monroe, on the other hand, felt Olivier was too rigid and dismissive of her approach. She found his traditional acting style outdated and accused him of being condescending. She famously quipped, "If you don't want me, hire someone else." Their tensions reached a boiling point when Olivier reportedly shouted at her to just be sexy, which only worsened their working relationship. Despite their issues, Monroe's performance won praise from critics, and Olivier later admitted that she had something special, even if it was maddening to work with. Number 1, Clark Gable and Vivien Leigh.
Has the war started?
Scarlett and Rhett were the ultimate on-screen couple. But in real life, let's just say Vivien Leigh had some complaints. In Gone with the Wind, their chemistry was undeniable, but behind the scenes, Leigh found Gable's notorious bad breath, caused by his dentures, completely unbearable.
You low-down, codly, nasty thing, you. They were right. Everybody was right. You aren't a gentleman.
She often complained about it and insisted on breath mints before every close-up scene. Gable, in return, found Leigh too much of a perfectionist and got irritated with her constant demand for retakes. Despite their personal issues, they managed to create one of cinema's most iconic love stories. However, the tension was so thick that Leigh later admitted she dreaded filming romantic scenes with Gable. He, on the other hand, described working with Leigh as tiring but rewarding. Fun fact, during one intense scene, Gable almost walked off the set due to Leigh's insistence on reshooting it multiple times. In the end, their strained relationship added even more fire to their legendary performances. Crazy, right? But hey, Hollywood is full of surprises. Check out our other videos for more juicy behind-the-scenes stories. You won't believe what else goes on when the cameras stop rolling.